Good day. This is Gateways to Greatness, where we take a good look at those qualities that are enduring and meaningful and where the soul becomes visible. Our guest today is Donna Scheifler, who has had an amazing life and gives us the gift of her learning today. And so, Donna, I want to welcome you again. You've been a terrific guest, and I will tell the podcast audience that you're a terrific teacher, too. So, anyway, Donna, you left off with your experience in Texas, as I recall, and you want to bring us right up to date and carry on?
There we go. So, yes, thank you, Rebecca, for this chance to finish up the cliffhanger story that's been going on. I, again, refer back to the metaphor that I've been using of the caterpillar and the butterfly and the life cycle that we go through that is similar, that the caterpillar eventually climbs into or creates this chrysalis, completely falls apart, is reconfigured. Science now understands much more about how and what goes on there in the chrysalis, and what emerges is a transformed being, a beautiful butterfly. And so where I left off in my story last time was the beginning of that chrysalis experience for me. I had been in South Texas, which was really foreign territory to me. I'm a native San Franciscan, so you can imagine what a contrast. I was down in the Rio Grande Valley teaching English as a second language. Everything that was familiar to me was stripped away. It was really and truly, it was a profound experience, but it was very, very painful. Everything that was familiar really and truly was stripped away. And when I returned to the Bay Area, I, now in hindsight, can recognize that I was burnt out. I didn't know at the time what was wrong with me. And that's often the case for us as women, as human beings. When we're in these situations, we're often unclear what's happening and need to trust the process. And just miraculously, there's a whole story to it, but miraculously, at this point, after I returned to the Bay Area, I was invited to join a women's circle. And this was really a turning point for me. And I often tell that I kept waiting to be kicked out of the group because I did not feel like I was contributing, because I had nothing left to give. And here I had spent my whole life giving. And so but they didn't kick me out. And they kept trying to reflect back to me that what was important was not what I did, but who I was, and that my value as a woman comes from inside of me, from who I am, and not what I do. Now, that they might as well have been speaking Greek to me, because that was such a foreign concept to me at the time. I did not know what they were talking about.
Yeah,
but
I understand.
I had the gift of being in that women's circle for 10 years. It grew and evolved and shifted and changed. But I see that as this chrysalis, this nest this safe place where I grew and changed and found Donna again. And in the early on, after I returned from Texas, after a year, it became clear to me that I had, for those of you new to the podcast, earlier in my story, I shared that I had been a Sister of Mercy. And I was a Sister of Mercy when I went down to Texas and when I returned. And then it became clear to me that I had to change my life if I was to keep on living. And very slowly it became clear to me that I needed to leave the convent in order to go back and find Donna. And I learned that I could be totally scared to death and keep moving forward. Let me see. We're now talking 25 years ago, okay? So I now can share that part of the story with the perspective of 25 years. I can appreciate what was going on now. In fact, I appreciate it so much so that I draw on that very experience as I accompany other women going through this stage in their lives. I'm no longer afraid of it. I honor it. I certainly don't go looking for suffering. I often hear myself saying I'm not masochistic. I'm not looking for pain and suffering, but I honor the place pain and suffering has in our lives of breaking down the defenses that we have constructed to protect ourselves. And when those defenses and facades begin to come down and crumble, the feeling is that we're going to die, that we're going to self-destruct, that we're going to disintegrate, that there's nothing left. And my experience of that process was that I absolutely came back in touch with the essence of myself, of Donna. And it was as if the butterfly then was able to emerge from the chrysalis, from that falling apart. I often refer to the experience in the chrysalis as being in the mush. It's just soup. It's just mush. It's nothing recognizable. It's certainly not who we were, and it's not who we're becoming, but it's such a necessary stage in the process. And all I can say is one thing continues to lead into the next, which if you've listened to the other segments of the podcast, you'll see how my life has organically evolved over the years, and that has not stopped to be the case. That continues to be the case, where one opportunity leads to the next. And now I had gotten a chance to get back involved in teaching. I actually got a chance to coordinate an English as a second language program for 14 years here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Amazingly, drew on all that experience I had in Texas. And then going almost 5 years ago now, I retired, and now I am full-time able to offer women's circles and classes and one-on-one sessions and retreats and all sorts of support services to accompany women through this incredibly important process and stage in their life journey on the way to becoming the wise woman, the wise older woman the crone that is the crowning of our lives. Not esteemed in our culture, but definitely the high point of our life.
Wow, that's something that many devoutly wish. I'm sure, and since I'm in that stage of life myself, I find it enormously exciting, and
yes.
It is. It's the best there's been, and the whole thing's been wonderful. But,
in hindsight, it didn't all feel wonderful at the time. And as you're speaking, Rebecca, I'm reminded of a term. There's this wonderful futurist woman, Barbara Marx Hubbard, who's now in her 80s, and we talk about the stages of the life of a woman, of maiden, mother, matriarch, crone, and she now, as matriarch, is the time in the life of a woman when we're going through menopause and coming into that next stage. And Barbara has observed that women in their 80s now, that were living longer, get a second wind. And she's now calling that stage in the life of a woman regenopause. She's coined a whole new word for the experience, which I think is quite wonderful.
And that's the same as the crone, but it's...
Yes, another way of looking at it, yes.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, she's quite a wise lady.
Oh, yes.
I have the greatest respect for her.
Yes.
Well, Donna, we still have 10 minutes. And,
oh, my goodness. Okay.
So I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
Yeah. Well, because I highlighted over a whole lot of stuff. Let me see. What could I share with you? There's so much. I guess what I want to say is wherever you're at in your life, whatever is going on, trust the process. Trust the process. I use that phrase, it is what it is. We don't have to like it. We don't have to label any of this as good or bad. Some of the experiences in our lives are absolutely celebratory, and such highlights and moments of expansion and exaltation. And then there are moments in the heroine's journey when we are brought down into the underworld, where everything seems lost, everything seems like it's falling apart. It probably is, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. If it's falling apart and it's happening now, then it's meant to happen. And I'm now in a position where I can look back on so much of my life, and I can now appreciate all of what happened. There's that wonderful quote from Dag Hammarskjöld that was the UN Secretary General way back when. Yes. And his journal was published at some point, I think it was called Markings, and there was one quote in there that really struck me, and he said, "For all that has been, thanks. For all that will be, yes." And I got introduced to that quote I don't know how many years ago, and I used to focus on the yes and the thanks. And then a day came when I read that quote as if for the first time, and I read it again, and I focused. All of a sudden, the word all hit me. For all that has been, thanks. For all that will be, yes. And it shifted everything. And it was like sometimes we have to grow into a space before we understand what we're looking at. And I can now look back and give thanks for every single experience I've had in my life. There was a time I was not able to do that. And you can't arrive at that prematurely. It comes when it comes. But I'm here to say it really is a truth. You will own it when you experience it. You can believe it until such time, and it makes all the difference. And then it gives you a freedom. I have no idea what is coming next in my life, and I can say yes to whatever it is. I continue to find myself at moments needing to leap off yet another cliff into the unknown and trust that the parachute will open. And another quote that I love is, when we come to the end of all that we know, we must believe one of two things: that there will be earth or land to walk on, or we will be given wings to fly. And I love that. Our lives are a trust walk. And when we can eventually get to the point of appreciating the process and trusting the process, then this is when what you call, Rebecca, our greatness, our essence, our giftedness, our who we really are. This is when the word I love is blossom. It's in the name of business now. This is when we get the chance to blossom, to become ever more fully who we really are. And this is our gift to the world. This is what's changing the world. As more and more women come into their own, we will bring more balance to the earth, and we will begin to shift what has been so out of balance for such a very long time.
Yes. Oh, Donna.
Whoa.
Wow. That's very moving, and I think extraordinarily beautiful. And I want to thank you again and again and again for sharing this wisdom, this great wisdom about the life of a woman and what it's leading to. I can certainly see that, and it's very exciting, and we have to be patient at the same time.
Yes.
Yes. So anyway, 1,000 thanks. We're close to the end of our time, and you've been wonderful to give so much, so richly of yourself to us, Donna. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch, and maybe you come on again.
Well, and I'd also like to mention that if anybody wants to get in touch with me, that my website is called Your Time to Blossom, www.yourtimetoblossom.com. And if you'd like to get in touch with me via email, my email address is donna@yourtimetoblossom.com.
Oh, wonderful. Well, for those of you in the Bay Area, I would certainly encourage you to take one of Donna's classes because they're just awesome. And for those of you who are not in the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, maybe you can come sometime and be here when she does her classes because they are really worth the effort. So, Donna, 1,000 thanks. And
Rebecca, thank
all
you.
All good things to you, and we'll be in touch.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Thank you so much, and all the best to everyone on the call.
I should say. That's it. Thanks, Donna.
Okay.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.